Hello, hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. And we are here unpacking and recapping a meteoric and historic win for England, almost 15 years to the day in the making as they get one test back, the first of Joe Root's career in an Ashes series on Aussie soil. Of course, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure to give the video a like, get involved in the comments and let us know your thoughts down below, but hit subscribe as well so that you can follow along with all of our cricket takes and other sport as we continue across the Ashes summer, the Big Bash, and much, much more. You can also find us on social media at The Chris Mack Show is the handle. You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on X. And we'd love to have you following along and getting involved in our shorter, briefer content there. But as I said, we're here to unpack what was a momentous result for England, winning by 4 wickets at the MCG on day 2. Just over 141 overs went across the test, a little more than we saw in the first test by a matter of deliveries only. So, again, a 2-day test match, which is going to have a lot of people scratching their head, a lot of people having issues and concerns around the state of test cricket. The MCG curator talked about this in the lead up. He left 10 millimetres of grass on day 1, expecting day 3 and day 4 temperatures in the 30s and into the mid-30s on day 4 to really take their toll on the pitch, which is wonderful to try and set up for a stage like that if you get to day 3 and day 4, which we clearly did not get to here. And I loathe to put all of the responsibility on the curator, and I will not do so, but certainly a lot of it rests with him. 10 millimetres versus 7 millimetres last year. It probably should have been the decision when that cloud and cool weather was set in on the morning of the first day, early that morning, come through, take another few mil off the top and allow for a bit of a contest. Well, we had a contest, but it was a bloody short one. That's the end outcome here. England, as I said, winning by 4 wickets. It was far from convincing, but they overturned a 40-plus run deficit on the first innings into a victory. So hats off to the English. I think, again, the change of Ollie Pope to Jacob Bethel was a key moment for them. And he certainly showed a way to get about it after the first innings in that second innings when he got going and was a key cog in that chase. I think some of the other takeaways, look, the Aussies, they fell well short with their second innings batting effort. They weren't patient enough this morning on day 2. They were caught between trying to play and trying to play time, and they just seemed to be caught in no man's land in between. There's a number of wickets that were sort of just really good deliveries early on that took a number of the top order batters. But then as you started to get into the middle order, there was some, I guess, decision-making that you might want to question. Usman Khawaja, again, a poor swat across the line. I'll defend Uzi till the cows come home when there's a chance to. But caught in the deep for a second time this series, just playing at a ball that wasn't there to hit. He clearly wasn't comfortable. And the only thing he could do was get under it and sky it out into the deep. We then had Alex Carey, who, again, has been almost faultless this series. He was fishing outside the line of fourth stump and found himself feathering one and caught behind. Speaking of fishing, Cam Green, 45-degree bat, awkwardly reached out and stretched out outside his off stump. It's what you're taught as a kid not to play. He was there again. And then, a couple of the bowlers, Michael Neser and Mitch Stark, they just got squared up by good balls by Bryden Cass, which is probably the best of the bowling we've seen from him, taking on the tail. And as I said, they fell well short. They needed a bat through the second session at a minimum, possibly into the third session today to make a contest of this. I still think England probably would have got there. They wouldn't have been quite as gung-ho about things had they needed a bit more of a total. And maybe if we had could set them about 240 to 260, it might have been enough of a overwhelming mental target to really undo them. But look, England bowled well, especially when they were down a bowler in their second innings with Atkinson's hamstring going. I think we have to take our hats off to them. Again, a well-deserved win after, as we said, 15 years, just over a week short of 15 years. It's been a long, long time. They certainly took it on in the second innings, and maybe the demise of Bazball was greatly overstated, or maybe it was just a flash in the pan where it worked for a circumstance. I'm not too sure. But again, well done to England. They were the better team in this test, despite being a bowler down. It does mean that, you'll have a look at what they look at for Sydney now. Will they bring in Bashir finally? Will he get that chance to play, or will he just be another tourist on display? Maybe they look at a Potts or a Fisher, who are both in the squad, and bring them in as a pace bowling option. I think the Aussies, we missed some genuine pace. Again, Richardson probably not as quick as he once was. Pat Cummins sorely missed, but we understand why he's on ice. Stark had some heavy lifting to do in terms of trying to get the breakthroughs. Neser and Boland more steady line pace. And it just didn't quite work out for us. But again, I think it's going to be an interesting one for the Aussies. I think we'll see probably Jai Richardson pop out, and Todd Murphy, I would suggest, has come in as the spinner. I'd really love to see Corey Rocacholi come in for that 5th test on January 4. But yeah, it's back to the drawing board in some ways. I don't think it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater for the Aussies. Just some challenging, honest, in-the-mirror conversations for a few of our batters, I think, is probably where we're at here. And in terms of those honest, in-the-mirror conversations, I think Page, the ground curator here at the MCG, probably needs to have one of those. He's misstepped here with leaving so much grass on the pitch, and that's led to us not getting through day 2. And unfortunately, that's the second time that's happened in 4 tests. And we really need to have a look at this. Curators trying to, I guess, garner results. We see very few tests actually going to a 5th day and very few going to draws. I think it was something like 2 or 3 in the last calendar year and not many more this calendar year. So realistically, teams are more adept at batting quicker and having a go at chasing scores, which is, I think, a benefit of T20. A lot of people are beleaguering the death of Test cricket batting because of T20, and I think if you look back through all these wickets, there's only probably less than 15 to 20% of the 36 wickets that fell in this test that were because people were playing outlandish strokes. A lot of it was just good bowling on a juicy deck. And that's what we need to find the balance of. We're going away from when batting dominated tests going back 15 years to now bowling dominating tests. I mean, you look back to that last test that England won here, they put a total of 600 and something on to dominate us at the SCG. And we just don't see that happening realistically now, where teams have to bat into a 5th day to try and, survive a test. So, certainly a lot to answer for on the batting front. Both teams realistically here, and in Perth it was the same. The curators need to have a look as well, and hopefully Sydney will take the message and we'll get, 4 days of Test cricket. If you can get 3.5 to 4.5 days of Test cricket, that's a perfect happy medium, I guess, and that's what you want to see. So a really interesting one, this one, in terms of it. 10 millimetres, way too much grass on the deck, and you can see that by the enthusiasm with which both teams wanted to bowl had they won the toss. You don't want the toss determining matches, but you feel like it kind of has here. So we will wait and see what comes in Sydney. I think there'll be a bit more spin friendly. As I said, for the English, I think Atkinson will probably be the only change. Whether they maybe reshuffle and look at, Jacks, that might be a question. But hopefully, as I said, we get a look at Bashir. But otherwise, I'm not sure why they brought him if they don't play him in Sydney, where it's, probably the most spin friendly and taking the spin deck in the series. So that's kind of where we sit after the 4th test. It's 3-1. It is a dead rubber, so we still hold the Ashes. That's the main thing. The English, they break that almost 15-year drought and will be really crucial in Sydney to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We want to make sure we get a 4-1 series victory here. It does put paid to Glenn McGrath's consistent 5-0 tips that he does every series, so we'll have a look at how it all shapes from here. But of course, plenty of Big Bash to come, plenty more sport to come. We'll be back in the new year with a preview of the 5th test as we head towards Sydney. Looking forward to getting to the test and getting in some action live. That's going to be wonderful. But in the meantime, a big thank you to you all for tuning into another Daily Dose, unpacking the 4th test, a 4-wicket win to the English. Well done to them. Well done to Harry Brooks steering them home in the end, being involved there, and to those batters, as we said, Jacob Bethel looking like he could be a key cog in this side going forward. A lot of people decreed that he wasn't fit to be there because he didn't have a first-class century to his name, and he looked every bit the Test cricketer in that second innings. So we will see how his career plays out from here. But I don't think we'll be seeing Ollie Pope for some time, that's for sure. But anyway, a big thank you for tuning in. Make sure to hit subscribe, and we look forward to talking to you again soon on your home of the black and white of sport. No grey opinions here.